Was there somebody who you admired growing up? Someone you looked up to?
I would say the first person that I really admired was General Colin Powell. He was the first person I remember really idolizing.
Who did you admire when you were growing up?
That's a good question. I actually always really admired individuals that, being like a young teenage girl and growing up in the States, you kind of look at celebrities, but anybody that would use their sort of celebrityism for good. So whether people that would become like UN ambassadors, goodwill ambassadors, people like that. Princess Diana actually was somebody that I always really admired.
Is there somebody you admired when you were growing up?
I guess somebody that I equally part admired and feared was my uncle, who was enormously successful in business, but always had very intense, and still does even to this day, a very intense demeanor. So always wanting to talk to him, but was fearful to approach him, but really admired his level of success and what he created for his life.
Who did you admire growing up?
I had two grandmothers on both sides who were amazing female pioneers. One in medicine and the other in business. And both of them way before their time, and were doing things and manifesting sort of results and careers and having an impact in a way that perhaps wasn't traditional for women at that time. And both of them just remarkable. And I think that I am who I am. I have amazing mothers as well, a mother and a stepmother who are incredible and creative. But I think the pioneering aspect of what both my grandmothers did was really probably the most inspiring for me growing up.
Who did you admire growing up?
I didn't know if I admire him growing up, but in reading his book recently, it came out maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Nobu.
Okay.
His story is phenomenal. He went through so much rejection. He lived in Peru, which is why a lot of his Japanese cuisine has the Peruvian influence. And then he kind of sidetracked into hospitality in general. And then he had the support and backers of a lot of celebrities who loved his properties and helped him grow into hotels. I would highly recommend everyone to read that bio. Like it's really uplifting.
Who did you admire growing up?
I really admired politicians and industry leaders, even at a young age, who I realized were international, were open-minded, and kind of built bridges.
Who did you admire growing up?
I'd have to say my parents, honestly, because they hustled so hard. We, grew up in a small town in New York State, and we did not have any money. We were poor, and they really hustled very hard. They worked hard. I wasn't spoiled by any means, but I definitely was given an amazing upbringing with all my family around, and actually didn't really want for anything that was very important. And I don't know how they did it. They sent 3 kids to an Ivy League school, and just like always bettering the next generation. What they accomplished was pretty amazing, because both of them only went to, a community college, and they just really put their heart and souls into us.
Did you admire someone growing up?
I was introduced to the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association when I was 18 years old. And I went to my first conference, which was in Dallas, Texas, and I did a sales blitz. I think Hank Wolpert was the director of sales and marketing at the Sheraton in Dallas and invited us to do a sales blitz. And I would say that I was so amazed and impressed by all the people in that Texas chapter of HSMA. I looked up to them, and they were incredible mentors for me when I was younger. I learned probably more from them than I did from my actual employers. I don't know what I would have done starting out, to be honest with you, if I hadn't been introduced to HSMAI so soon. It's such a wealth of information and mentorship. And I just really encourage everybody to participate and take advantage of that.
Was there somebody that you admired when you were growing up?
Yeah, like my father and mother, they sacrificed so much to raise like 2 crazy kids. Like my brother and I were probably the most mischievous kids. So hats off to them.
Who did you admire growing up?
Buzz Aldrin.
Who did you admire growing up?
My dad. It's a huge cliche probably, but he's always been an entrepreneur.
my grandfather as well. So it was super inspiring to kind of grow up and see how he managed his business, how he made it grow. And that really inspired me to become like self-employed as well from a very young age. So he's still very inspiring.
Who did you admire growing up?
I admired my grandmother. She was a writer and a speaker. She had her own radio show. And I'm pretty sure if she lived today, she'd be podcasting.
Right. Who did you admire growing up?
Well, one of my idols was Michael Jordan. I mean, he just had all that charisma. He scored all the points. And when he wasn't scoring, he knew to pass the ball. So I tried to model my career after Jordan, just in the hotel industry.
Who did you admire growing up?
Bobby Moore, who was an English football player who won the World Cup.
Who did you admire growing up?
Probably Mom, just hard worker, tenacious.
Who did you admire growing up?
Well, I was actually a big comic book fan, so I guess Stan Lee would have been my the admiration. You know, he was the writer and creator of a lot of the Marvel comics and heroes that we know today that are all in the movies.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe below. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media and presented by Stay Flexi. Stay Flexi is your modern operating system for independent hotels. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to go to stayflexi.com, or if you'd rather talk to me, message me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email at Steve.Carran@stayflexi.com. Thanks and have a great day.